It was quite an open brief in many senses, although it's in new ownership. Kind of events and exhibition company called Media 10 recently acquired it, and they had a show last year which was really successful. They really do understand the industry. So we wanted to really kind of put that across in a very sort of confident way. We get very excited about every idea we've had and find it very difficult to kind of cut things out. So we ended up presenting about 5 or 6 completely different approaches. And coincidentally, another company, Thomas Matthews, had actually presented one concept that wasn't too dissimilar to ours around the theme of creative balance. So the organisers and the marketing director there actually had the foresight and the intelligence to think, well, actually, there's some real strengths in both these companies' ideas and they can bring different skills to the table. So let's ask them to collaborate, which I think was actually quite a brave thing to do. But it worked, and it's worked brilliantly, and we've really enjoyed the process. We'd seen lots of photographers, and we wanted the main campaign to be very bold, but quite simple. But also we need to show products, the kind of thing you're going to find at the show. So we've seen the work of Sarah Morris, a photographer who she collaborated with a stylist, art director called Sandy Suffield. And we really liked their images, which were around bringing groups of objects together and placing them in a really interesting but quite quirky way. So I think there's a lot of work in this area which is quite cold and quite stark and very product-led. But we wanted it to have some real colour and some real personality, colour palettes that were going to work across the show and in print and online and what have you. Way before the shoot, just working out how these different stacks were going to work so we could get the products working. But in actual fact, the final shots are very, very similar to our final visuals.
Once we had the concept locked down, it was figuring out how we would create the concept physically.
And we wanted to do it for real as well. So we wanted it to look real, and I think even if we'd shot it in different parts and comped it together, it wouldn't have felt real. We set ourselves a task to actually stack all these objects up on top of each other.
A lot of fishing wire was used. We didn't want to hire kind of rigging and cherry pickers and things like that. Trying to figure that out was quite a big task. And then after that was kind of set, it was then sourcing a lot of the furniture. Whilst we were doing that, we were trying to define exactly what the stack would look like, and that's very difficult without knowing exactly what pieces of furniture were going to be in it.
We shot 3 or 4 completely different stacks, and they'll be sort of used across the campaign in different ways to keep it fresh.
When you're using photography or a key image as part of a campaign, it's getting rolled out across a whole plethora of formats, and it was key to make sure that obviously that image works across all those formats. Part of the confident approach we decided to take with this year's creative was that maybe we didn't need to say so much about the show.
We're doing away with lots of unnecessary paragraphs of text and, clever copy lines and strap lines, just to keep it really simple. So the copy is literally 100% design, the venue and how to register. It's a real art in simple typography, actually. A lot of people think, oh, it's just a bit of type on a page. We ummed and ahed, Joe and I, for hours about the exact positioning of that type there. We ended up coming back to our original reference, which is kind of stacks of objects which sort of come together in very sort of unusual, this kind of balanced ways, and introducing lots of colour. And then the colour went on to sort of inform the whole palette, the whole colour palette of the entire rollout, really. So that will be expressed across not just the photographs and the marketing campaign, but in the print, the show guide, and the actual on-site of the show itself.